Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So, continue where I left off on part 2 of this series. The only fighter that can beat Manny Pacquiao is the title, of course. I realized there's one more fighter that I didn't mention or I didn't add to this list, and that is Ruslan Provodnikov. Another fighter that would be a very good potential opponent for Manny Pacquiao. Now, even though Provodnikov, he said after the Rios fight that he really has no interest in fighting against Manny Pacquiao, at least right now. But like I said, once again, Bob Arum, he's trying to keep everything in-house. He's basically trying to have Manny Pacquiao only fight, or his top-ranked fighters only fight against each other. And he's running out of options, Bob Arum is. There's not too many matches he can make in the welterweight division because he doesn't have that many welterweights to fight against each other. All right? Now, Marquez, I don't know if Marquez is just pouting right now, but Marquez is saying that if he doesn't get a rematch with Tim Bradley, he's going to retire. He's basically, trying to start over the whole complaining that I lost like he did with Pacquiao. Now he's trying to start that over with Bradley, which I don't see any reason for that rematch to happen because we already know that Marquez, if he loses again, if he doesn't get knocked out, he's going to say the exact same thing. We know this. We know his pattern. Marquez, if he goes in there and he loses more decisive in the second fight, he's going to do the same thing. I was robbed again. So in my opinion, it's no reason to make that rematch Bradley versus Marquez, but I wouldn't mind watching it. It would still be a good fight. I think deep down, Marquez and Nacho, they know that they lost the fight, and really they just want revenge. But his pride is too much when it comes to Marquez. He just can't admit that he lost. That's just what it is. But anyway, going back to Provodnikov possibly fighting against Manny Pacquiao, I think Provodnikov is Manny Pacquiao's Joe Frazier. Not saying that Manny Pacquiao is Muhammad Ali, but I believe that Manny Pacquiao, he would struggle against Provodnikov the same way that Ali struggled when he fought against Joe Frazier. Provodnikov is an aggressive fighter just like Brandon Rios is, but that's where the similarities end. Because basically, Provodnikov, the difference is a couple differences. One of the differences is Provodnikov, he comes forward very aggressively. But unlike Brandon Rios, Provodnikov, he comes forward with quick foot speed. All right? He is very quick when it comes to cutting off the ring, forcing you to fight his fight, putting pressure on you to where you almost can't breathe. And what's so interesting is, like I said, when you go back to the Pacquiao versus Brandon Rios fight, Pacquiao, he was looking very uncomfortable the more Brandon Rios came forward. He didn't look relaxed. He didn't look like he was calm the way Floyd Mayweather was against Canelo Alvarez. And when Floyd Mayweather fought against other aggressive fighters, even Diego Corrales, Floyd Mayweather was very calm. He was very relaxed. But with Manny Pacquiao, he was starting to feel uncomfortable. Matter of fact, even Jim Lampley said that the pressure that Brandon Rios is putting on Manny Pacquiao is forcing Manny Pacquiao to work harder than Pacquiao really wants to work. And Jim Lampley even started to talk about how Manny Pacquiao eventually, he would start to move. And what some casual fans will call run, he would start to do that pretty frequently. And this is what Jim Lampley was basically saying in the fight. It was a couple rounds where Pacquiao, he really had to move around the ring. And what's so interesting about when he was, quote-unquote, running in the ring, they were showing some recorded footage of the aftermath of the Pacquiao loss to Bradley, when Pacquiao's in the dressing room talking to Freddie Roach. And Pacquiao says to Freddie Roach, he says it twice, matter of fact. He says, "Didn't I tell you, Freddie? I told you he was going to run. I told you he was going to run," referring to Tim Bradley, right? Like I said, what's so interesting about him saying that is he was running more, if you call it running, he was running more in the Brandon Rios fight than Tim Bradley was against him. This is the reason why you got to be careful when you try to start to talk like a dumbass casual fan, okay? Because when you start to talk like them, you know, you're going to eventually contradict yourself because you're going to have to implement the same style depending on what type of opponent that you're going up against. And I can guarantee you, if you see Pacquiao fight against Ruslan Provodnikov, you're going to see Manny Pacquiao do some of the fastest running you've ever seen him do. And because if he doesn't do that, he's going to mess around and really get severely hurt against Provodnikov, because we all know that Ruslan can punch. And another thing, unlike Brandon Rios, Provodnikov, he has Olympic pedigree, all right? This is one of them guys who was a winner as an amateur. And when I talk about being a winner, I'm talking about winning in international tournaments, winning gold medals, the most difficult thing to do when it comes to being an amateur boxer, okay? And speaking of running one more time, and see, this is the thing. You have, like I said, you have to be careful when you make excuses because it once again shows flaws in your game, all right? Now, I know this by personal experience. One of the first things they teach you when you learn how to box is they teach you how to circle around the ring, and they teach you how to cut off the ring when you have someone circling away from you. These are the basic things that you learn in the sport of boxing. So when you have someone like Manny Pacquiao saying, I told you he was going to run, you're making excuses why you lost the fight, and you basically said that all these years you didn't know how to cut off the ring? Are you serious? Because Provodnikov, he knows how to cut off the ring. You go back and you watch the Mike Alvarado fight. Alvarado, he was running like a chicken with his head cut off. But that didn't faze Provodnikov at all. He was still calm and collective because Provodnikov knows how to cut off the ring. Okay? So if you sit over here and you say you're losing or you lost because a guy was running, you know, that shows flaws in your game. Not only that, but a guy who was running from you, what you call running, with a broken foot. How is this guy faster than you when he has a broken foot? You're supposed to have quick hand speed, quick foot speed, etc. I mean, just think of how crazy it sounds to say a guy with a broken foot, he was beating you basically, or he was doing good in the fight because he was running away from you. Now, first of all, we have to remember that Tim Bradley stood in front of Pacquiao at least 70% of the fight. Not even 70, more than 70. He stood in front of Pacquiao at least 85% of the fight, all right? But let's just say he was moving a whole bunch, right, with a broken foot. Let me give you a scenario. Let's just picture, for whatever reason, you're chasing a guy down the street, okay? And you're chasing a guy with a cast on because he has a broken ankle. So he running down the street. You tell him you can't catch a guy with a broken foot and a damn cast on this goddamn foot? Come on, man. It sounds like you're the one that has the flaws. It sounds like you're exposing a weakness in your game when you say you can't catch somebody like that. So the point I was making when it comes to Provodnikov is he would be an extremely difficult fight for Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao would have all types of problems against Provodnikov. Moving on. Let's go ahead and talk about Robert the Ghost Guerrero. This is a fight, guys, I have always wanted to see when it comes to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao versus Guerrero would be a great matchup. Southpaw versus Southpaw. Now, what's interesting about this is there was a lot of people who were saying that before Mayweather signed the contract to fight Guerrero, even Juan Marquez said it himself. He said he thought that Mayweather was going to try to duck Guerrero because Guerrero is an aggressive fighter and Mayweather is most likely going to try to fight someone like a Devin Alexander instead. But of course, soon as Mayweather signed the contract, then all of a sudden they asked Marquez what he thought, and he said, I think Mayweather will win the fight easy. Guerrero is not ready, etc., etc. Let me tell you something about Guerrero. If you watch the Guerrero versus Mayweather fight, Guerrero made the first 3 rounds against Floyd Mayweather very interesting. And the reason why he did is because he was in there using his brain. I'm talking about Guerrero was. Guerrero was trying to set up Mayweather with counter punches. And, just like Guerrero said at the end of the fight, he kept saying, man, I was barely missing him. I was so close to hitting him, because he really was close. All right, close is not enough, but it's just the fact that he was really trying to land those counter shots. And you have to have cat-like reflexes like Floyd Mayweather, to avoid the type of counter punches that Guerrero was throwing at him. Okay, but Manny Pacquiao, we already know, is not good when it comes to defense. He's not good when it comes to inside game. All right? You could pretty much hit Manny Pacquiao with almost any punch in the book. So if Guerrero was fighting against Manny Pacquiao, that is another fight that would be a toss-up. All right? So far, if you guys been following this series that I've done, none of these opponents that I've named so far would be easy fights for Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, he makes none of these fights look easy, which says a lot about Manny Pacquiao. It says a lot about Floyd Mayweather, because we all know that Floyd Mayweather, he fought half of the people that are on this list that I'm showing you guys right now. All right? So let me speed it up a little bit, because I only have 15 minutes on this video. Now, the next person on this list would be Juan Manuel Marquez. Now, a lot of us, I think, have almost been fooled into believing the hype when it comes to Marquez winning all these fights, all these close fights. He was always robbed. And we've heard Marquez say it for so long, we believed him. But now, when I heard him say it against Bradley, I'm starting to think this is a guy who just cries woof. And this is just something that he always says, and we gave him the benefit of the doubt. It's like now I want to basically go back, reevaluate a lot of those close fights. And when I go back and reevaluate those fights, they were close enough to go either way. We know that Marquez took his foot off the gas a little bit in the third fight. So it was extremely close. All right? But when it comes to a fifth fight, with Marquez fighting against Pacquiao, out of everyone on this list, I think Marquez would be Manny Pacquiao's safest fight when it comes to having a better chance of winning. I mean, he fought this guy 4 times already. I mean, this should be an open book test for Manny Pacquiao, but it hasn't been yet. And it almost seems sometimes like it's getting harder and harder, because he got knocked out in the 4th fight. So, I truly believe that, Marquez would be his safest bet. Another safe bet would be against Tim Bradley. The reason why I say that is because of the controversy of the first fight. I think Bradley is going to have to win at least 8 rounds out of 4, extremely decisive. And quite frankly, they may still give the fight to Manny Pacquiao just because of the backlash of the first fight. So that's the only reason why I feel, that's another fight where Manny Pacquiao may have a chance of winning. Okay? Now, the last person on this list would be no other than Floyd Mayweather. Look, guys, I told you that I really, really noticed a lot of flaws in the Brandon Rios fight. And that was, quite frankly, one of Manny Pacquiao's best performances. So that tells you a lot. Manny Pacquiao cannot fight on the inside. And if you watch all of Pacquiao's previous fights, he gets hit with every single punch. He gets hit with the jab. He gets hit with the right hand. He gets hit with the uppercut, the hook to the body, everything. So you put those two things together, a terrible inside game and a terrible defense, Floyd Mayweather is going to have a field day against Manny Pacquiao. And what's really funny is Floyd Mayweather may end up being the aggressor throughout this fight. So I purposely named this video The Only Person That Can Beat Pacquiao Is. And the answer to that is, I think the majority of people that you see on this picture, they have a very good chance of beating Manny Pacquiao, which tells you a lot about Pacquiao if you really think about it. I'm out of time, guys. I'm on to the next one.